this is Caitlin here, and welcome back to Card Game Wednesday, the day of the week where we talk about all things card game related. And we are actually back with some spoilers for you today. I know last time when it was the time spinning witch, I only really covered the very first set of spoilers, and I just really fell out of touch with it and struggled to keep up with it and everything like that. But I'm going to do my best because I think I've planned it out a little bit better in my head as to how I'm actually going to be covering these spoilers. So on every Wednesday, I will still have the normal Card Game Wednesday video, which I put up every week or whatever. On a Wednesday, I'll be covering the spoilers from Monday and Tuesday, and then on a Friday or maybe even a Saturday, depending on what it is I'm doing during the week, whether I've got a lot of work commitments or anything like that. This week, probably expected to be out on the Saturday, I would believe. I'll be covering the spoilers from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I feel like that's the best way for me to split them up so that I can cover them all and give them all the right amount of time and everything. This week, I am going to a wedding all weekend, which is why the video will probably be going up on the Saturday as opposed to the Friday, because I've had to schedule some videos in advance so that I don't need to worry about recording stuff while I'm away or anything like that, or scheduling or editing stuff while I'm gone. So this video, we're going to be talking about the spoilers that came out on Monday and Tuesday respectively. Now, in regards to what was spoiled on Monday, I do have some rather strong feelings about the situation regarding these cards. However, I'm going to leave that discussion to the side and leave that to the other video that will be coming out today. I believe I've scheduled it for about an hour after this one goes live. So if you want to hear me talking about the situation regarding that, then look out for that video coming out later today. But I'm literally just going to be talking about what the cards are themselves and what I think about them. So starting off, we have the reveal of our first ruler for Winds of the Ominous Moon, and it is the Time Spinning Witch. And the artwork is looking very nice. I do like it, the kind of mixture of the purplish blues and the lighter blues and everything like that, and the kind of almost galaxy motif like on her skin and everything like that. It looks very interesting. Now, her judgment here is 2 will, which we've never seen before. Now, I believe this is what they were referring to in regards to time will. So this will acts similarly to moon will, essentially, way back when we had that back in the day of Grimm and Alice Cluster. So it is a different will type, but it is not considered an attribute. Therefore, you cannot use it to pay the cost of void. It's not one of those ones. So you can't, like same as with moon, you cannot use it for just general void cost. You can only use it in regards to costs that require that specific will, unless otherwise stated by some kind of card effect. So the judgment is 2 time will. She has an energize of 1 blue, but she has this 0 cost ability, which is produce 1 time will. Spend this will only to play activate abilities to pay mobilize costs or awakening costs of chance. Play this ability only once per turn. So on this side, she can produce basically 1 time will, but she does require 2 in order to judgment, which once you judgment, you flip into her first J ruler side. That's right, because this ruler is actually going to be a colossal ruler. I was predicting that maybe we would get a colossal ruler at some point. I was thinking that maybe either, if it wasn't going to be this cluster, then maybe it would be next cluster. So yeah, I find it really interesting that they brought back the concept of a colossal ruler, maybe not as quickly as I thought they would, but I am very surprised that they've actually done it. This one on the side is still called the Time Spinning Witch. She's an 800, 1200. Her judgment for her final side is 10. Play this ability only if you control 10 or more magic stones, so you can't ramp this with, say, Sacred Elves or anything else that produces will. It has to be, you have to have 10 magic stones in play before you can do this judgment. She also has barrier and flying, and she has a 0 cost ability here where you produce 2 time will. You can spend this will only to play activate abilities, to pay mobilize costs or awakening costs of chance. Again, you can only play this once per turn. And then she has a pretty scary God's Art, which is called Time Reverberation. Cost 0, of course. Until end of game, you may play all other God's Art abilities you played in this game an additional time. This doesn't affect God's Art's abilities that are played after this effect for the first time. So I think more recently, or rather in this set, we're going to see a lot more resonators with God's Art, because I believe one of the only resonators with a God's Art is the blue Alice resonator from Echoes of the New World. She's one of the only resonators, I believe, who's had a God's Art since then, although I feel like with this set, they're maybe going to introduce a couple more resonators that have their own God's Arts, so this is really interesting. I'm not quite sure how many different ones will be very viable to use within the Time Spinning Witches quote-unquote deck, so to speak, because we don't really know what she's all about really, other than time will and being able to pay awakenings and mobilize with that time will. But I digress. And then that ruinous wish swallows up everything all the way down to the last moment in time. And then finally, when she reaches basically her colossal side, she becomes the unbound princess of time, Kaguya, and she's looking a bit more normal, even though she seems to have a bit of a glazed over look in her eyes. She seems to look similar to how she looked before this whole despair seemed to grasp her and everything like that. And it says at the bottom, a miracle is happening. But when she becomes this, things get a little bit crazy. As you do judgment of this card, restart the game with this card in the field on this side. You go first. So basically, it's just a total rewrite for the game, which I think will screw. If this card ever becomes meta, it would screw up tiebreakers. It would screw up all sorts of like rulings or like kind of final scores and everything like that. At the beginning of your main phase, choose one. Either produce one will of any color, or you draw a card. So this is insane. If you do actually manage to get to this side in the game, good on you, because that would mean it would take 10 turns unless you have some kind of stone ramp. But other than that, I'm not sure whether this card will ever see meta, especially considering the way that you can get it. But I'm going to move on here because I don't really have much more to say about this ruler herself. But we're going to go on and look at some more spoilers that were revealed. So we have Spirit of Time, which is a 5-cost resonator, a spirit. It is 2 water and 3 void and 800, 1200, similar stats to Kaguya herself. She has an ability which is pay 1 void and you produce a time will. You spend this will only to play activate abilities to pay mobilize cost or awakening costs. Play this ability only once per turn. So again, this is another way for you to convert, say, your own will into time will. This spirit will serve their master until the very end of time. Nothing really interesting to say about this one either. We have a chant here, which is Time Dilation, a 2-cost water chant. You basically draw 2 cards, or you can pay an awakening of 1 time will, you can rest a target J/Resonator, or you can pay the awakening of 2 time will, and you can recover a target J/Resonator, which would probably be very good if you're hitting with something very strong, and you can rest something. That could potentially be blocking you. To the time spinning witch, the past and future are merely meant to fade away, which is kind of sad. Next up we have what seems to be Kagu Stone, because it's the magic stone of time. It has 2 abilities essentially. You produce either water or you produce time will. I don't really see this having any much use other than being in Kagu's deck. I could be wrong though, maybe some other decks would like to use a little bit of time will, but I feel like this is mainly specifically for her. There isn't really much point, I think, in running this in any other deck. A magic stone with memories of the distant future. Pretty simple enough. And then moving on, we've got some extra kind of cards here. Some of these, we've got 2 cards actually here, which were spoiled on Tuesday again, and I feel like this was spoiled due to a bit of backlash that happened after a little bit of reveal, but again, I'm not going to say anything about it. You can wait until the later on video till I discuss that. This one is going to be Honourable Thief Guild member. It's a 4-cost of 1 light and 3 void. She's a 900, 1000 human. At the beginning of your turn, you gain 100 life for each card in your hand, which is a pretty decent card actually. I'm not quite sure what kind of deck you would run this in, because again, it is a human card, and I don't think there's really many decks that make use of like that human resonator type, and I can't think of like a deck in the format right now which is heavy on keeping a big hand. I know Scarlet is all about discarding your hand, but I'm not too sure what kind of deck would run this card, but it seems to be like an interesting mechanic to have. Next up we have Timesbound Spirit, which oddly enough is a ghost, not a spirit itself. It is a 1-cost water, 200, 200. When this card is put into a graveyard from the field, you draw a card, reminding anyone a little bit of Alice's Little Soldier. And whenever you play a God's Art, which is probably the important thing for the Kaguya deck, you may put this card from your graveyard into the field. So basically, you want this to die pretty quickly, and then whenever you activate a God's Art or anything like that, you can sneak this back into the field, and it's another chump blocker essentially. Not even death can free you from the curse of time, which is a little spooky. And then we get into our light spoilers from Tuesday. The Arrival of the Hero, which is a quick cast 2-cost chant of 2 light. If you control a J ruler, you may pay 2 light less to play this card. So essentially, if you've got Tigris on the field, this costs you nothing, which is pretty cool. You choose one. You prevent all damage that would be dealt to resonators you control until end of turn, or destroy target rested resonator. I think it would have been cool if we could destroy Jays as well, but then that might have been a little bit broken if you could just destroy Jays with like no cost or anything. But I really like this artwork. It looks really cool. Tigris Slayer floating above his army of panda knights and everything. It looks really cool. The hero always arrives in the time of need. Alright, Tigris, like, calm down a little bit here. Next up, we have Power Gem Warrior, a 1-cost Resonator, 400 to 300. He has First Strike, and it's a panda, obviously. This card gains 100 as long as you control 2 or more pandas. So I think this one is encouraging a little bit of panda swarming, with a lot of low-cost pandas to try and like beef up your gem count and like your buffs between all your pandas. Even when divided amongst friends, the radiance of the gems never declines. Teachings handed down at Sasero, which is a little bit ominous. And then kind of the partner card to this, which I really like because like both these artworks connect with each other because they're standing back to back as they fight with each other. So this one is Technique Gem Warrior, and she's got some kind of gem wolverine claws. But look at her arms; she is strong as all heck. Just look at her; she has been lifting all those gems, probably very heavy gems. She's a 1-cost Resonator as well. She's 300, 400 with Barrier, which is really interesting. She gains 100 as long as you control 2 more pandas. So probably the idea is to get like a lot of them out pretty quickly if you're going to run this kind of build for pandas. A true Guardian protects something more than simple gems. Another teaching handed down from Sasero. And then I believe this is the last one for this session. This is I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, so I apologize if I get it wrong. I think this is Shang Shang, the Holy Prince, which I assume is meant to be the son of Tigris and Rose Quartz. He looks pretty cute. I really like him here. He's a 3-cost Resonator. He's also an SR. He is 2 light and 1 void, and it looks like Ra, like the golden bird or whatever, is hanging out behind him in the background. He's an 800. When he enters the field, reveal any number of pandas from your hand. You gain 200 life for each card revealed this way, so a little bit of life gain for pandas. And whenever you gain life, you may banish a light gem. If you do, this card deals damage to target Resonator equal to the amount of life you gained, which is a pretty nifty ability. And he also has a God's Art, so here's a new Resonator with a God's Art. It's called Ra's Blessing, and it costs 7, which is kind of crazy. So it's 3 light and 4 void. Your life becomes 4,000, which is pretty insane in itself. Like, I can imagine maybe that this maybe the Panda deck would run this in sideboard mainly, just for those games where you feel like you are losing life very quickly. You want to sideboard it maybe, or some people might even mainboard it since it is a Panda technically and you get life gain from it. But it's a very interesting card. In the bottom here it says, when you speak of the child loved by God, surely you refer to the prince, which is said by Holy Princess Nanny Citrine, which I'm guessing we're going to get the Princess Nanny at some point as a Resonator, or maybe some kind of reference to a card, since all of them seem to be, most of the pandas are named after gems, except for this little prince, apparently, because he's called Shang Shang, which I don't believe is reference to gem unless it's like the pronunciation for it. I'm not too sure. But he seems really cute, and this seems like a really interesting card for the Panda deck to have. Overall, these spoilers seem very interesting, guys. I think the pandas are getting a lot of good support here. They're getting a lot of better support. Maybe giving you a lot of different options as to how you play pandas. As for the time spinning witch, I'm not too sure how I feel about Kaguya 5 or K5 as some people are calling her, because this is literally the 5th Kaguya not Resonator, the 5th Kaguya ruler I believe we've had in all of Force of Will. I'm not too sure what to think about her. I need to think about basically the situation regarding her and her support, but these spoilers are looking kind of neat so far. Again, guys, it's going to be like maybe a month or so until we get Winds of the Ominous Moon, so we'll see how many more spoilers we get and whether or not all of the cards, or rather all of the rulers that we love and support, are going to get the kind of support that they need in this final set from Rhea Cluster, and whether we can actually finish on a bang or whether we're going to have another mixed reception here. But I hope you enjoyed these spoilers, guys. Let me know down in the comments down below what you thought of these spoilers, and keep an eye out for my next video that is coming out today, which will be discussing basically the product information coming out for Winds of the Ominous Moon and my reaction and feelings towards it. But I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Leave a comment down below, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you all later. This video was made possible thanks to patrons such as Houston Moore, Alucard, and Craig McCutcheon.